got all sorts of, you can see me getting nervous. Well, some of the people that I put on are very, I often don't know who I'm
Flamboyant.
getting on. It's from a wide range of different backgrounds, and a lot of people, I pick people from all sorts. So I don't know a lot of times. The main thing I aim for is to have a nice conversation and to listen to what
Right,
they say.
right.
So it,
Well, my question to you is, have you done improvisation?
I, when I do my comedy act, because I don't like joke writing and
Right.
I prefer more to interact with the crowd, I do a lot of improv that way. And I do
The
a very
Robin
bad,
Williams effect.
huh?
The Robin Williams effect.
Possibly, he is someone who I'm incredibly, I heard so many stories about him, like being like the most gifted improviser they've ever seen. I've heard so many stories
I
about him.
I've improvised with him, and Woody Harrelson was in the audience. My life has been strange. I invited him via letter to. I ran the San Francisco Improv Festival, and at that point, I was living in San Francisco. We had just moved there, and I was like, Robin lives here, and everybody in my ensemble, which was called We Be Negroes, OUI French, we be Negroes, yes, be Negroes. Uh, I said, I'm going to send him a letter. I found his P.O. box, and my friend Christian Leslie, who was in our ensemble, just went, "Oh, that's so cute, Shaun. You send your little letter. You do that." And I went, "Okay." So I sent a letter. I'm a massive fan. I was a massive fan and still am massive fan of Robin. And I sent a letter. I said, "How would you like to perform with a bunch of Black people and one token white guy?" And I wrote something that Jonathan Winters used to say to Robin, which is, "May your life be strong. May your comedy be strong and your life complete." And wrote that to Robin. And the opening of our show, we did sketch and improv. During the sketch show, I did an improvised piece called Shamika Mazagunda Jackson, poet and revolutionary. And I would improvise a poem where somebody would improvise dance behind me. And I walked out and I come out in militant US militant stance. And I would always point to the men. I'm like, gravy sucking, don't change your underwear on a regular basis, men. And I would point to a guy in the audience, and then I would mess with the guy in the audience. Well, I ended up pointing to the back because I had already the people before me had in my cast had messed with the people in front. So I'm like, I'm going to point in the back. And Bats, Bay Area Theater Sports, pulled up the lights and I pointed to the back, and Robin was sitting there. I lost my mind. I wasn't going to rag on Robin Williams, and I pointed right back to the same person. When I realized he was in the audience and responded to my letter, I went backstage. I laid on a dirty theater carpet and screamed in it, "He's here. Robin is here." And, and I looked up to Christian. I said, "I told you." Letters work. And uh, at the end of our sketch part, our thing with We Be Negroes was we would go, anyone can improvise with us because that's our theory. Anyone can improvise. I said, anyone can come up and improvise in this set. And I looked at, can I swear on this podcast
Yeah,
or
you
should
can
I
say
not?
everything.
Okay, good. So I literally said, anyone can get up and perform. And I looked straight at Robin Williams. I said, including Oscar winning motherfuckers. And Robin went, ha! Literally like that. And he popped up like a jumping jack and ran behind stage. I've never had so many people come on stage to improvise with us because Robin was there. And Robin, now I'm out of my mind because I'm a personality. I'm running around. I'm running around the theater going, turn on the camera, do this, turn on the lights. And I'm running through. And the guy who wrote the production, the late Henry Moss, it had just opened in San Francisco, was in the audience, sitting next to Woody Harrelson because Woody Harrelson was in the late Henry Moss. And I didn't even notice it was Woody Harrelson. I was just like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Robin is here. I'm running around. And I stopped in the middle of the aisle, a 300-seat theater, and said, why the hell am I out here? I'm the one who wrote the letter. So I run down the stairs. I go behind the curtains. There's a circle of human beings. Literally, it was like a ring of fire, a ring of improv fire, with Robin in the middle of the fire and my husband Hans. Hans was the only one who didn't even care. And keep in mind, my whole puberty revolved around Robin Williams. So my husband and Robin Williams are just talking casually like they've known each other for decades. And I look in my mind, because I'm that person, I just went, wow, that would be a great threesome.
Bloody hell. That's
And
brilliant.
I just went, whoa, 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 stop it, whoosh, get out of there. And I cut myself through the ring of improv fire of people too afraid to talk to Robin. And I had everything I wanted to say to this man at that point in time. He was just in, he did the 90, he was doing the 90-minute photo. So his hair was cropped blonde and he had shaved off most of his chest hair. But his arms were still, he had like rug hair on his arms. And I had everything I wanted to say to this man. I'm like, you got me through puberty, the world according to Garp, Popeye, Goodwill Hunting, which he had just won the Oscar for. I'm like, Mork and Mindy I lived on. I had I said, you were the one who I wanted to do comedy with. It make me find Second City in Chicago. I wanted to do this. He knew my Uncle Brad because my Uncle Brad was also on the Richard Pryor show with Robin. I come from old ass comedy lineage, and I'm like, I had everything I wanted to say. I walked through the ring of fire. I tapped him on the shoulder. He was a short man. I'm 5'9.5". He's roughly about five. He was 5'7", and I looked at him, and I only thing that could come out of my face was, "Hi, my name is Shaun Landry."
Mm.
And the man started laughing. He grabbed me and he kissed me, then hugged me for a very long time. And this is him right here. This is my face doing this. I just, it was the most, and then we improvised and it was all right. It wasn't the best improv in the universe. A million people were running in and out. Robin basically just pretty much was Robin. He literally yanked me on stage out of the back line because there were so many people on stage and it's a jam. He pulls me, he grabs my hand, he pulls me out, he plops me center stage, he goes down stage right, and he literally says, "Hi, my name is Don and I sell guns." Now, keep in mind, Hans and I had been doing this sketch called Don's Guns. So he must have found it somewhere online because I put up so much stuff of Weeby Negroes back in the day when YouTube started. So he must have seen it. And I stood there. I'm like, we're not improvising, we're doing an old sketch. And I let him go off, and I'm displaying guns like Carol Merrill from The Price is Right here in the States. It's a contestant game show. And I'm displaying guns like Carol Merrill, like that. And he started naming guns. It's like, we got handguns. Pick up a handgun. you know, and I started getting laughs, and he realized what I was doing, so he made the guns bigger. And we got cannons. Walked off the side, pulled out a cannon, shoveled the, mime pretend lighting it, did this. And at the end of it all, he finally wore himself out talking, unlike me right now. And I said, to him, and he said to me, he goes, "What do you think, Carol?" And he knew I was Carol Merrill. And I looked at him, I looked at the audience, and said only 3 lines that entire scene: "I like guns." And then someone swept edited and he ran and he was rubbing his shoulders next to me. He goes, "That was a great scene. That was a great scene." I'm like, "Yeah, that was great, Robin. Thanks." And then at the end of it all, I realized Woody Harrelson was there. And someone was, yeah, well, Woody came with Robin and they're all there. And someone was like, "Hey, Woody, you want to come and take a, picture?" Because at that point I realized no one at Bay Area Theater Sports had turned on the camera. So
Oh,
we so I was like, does so but Ronnie Ray, who was in our company, had a disposable camera. And he goes, "Hey, Woody, come up." I'm like, "Woody who?" And Woody Harrelson comes bouncing up on stage. I'm like, "Hey, Woody, why didn't you get on stage?" He goes, "I don't improvise." He goes, I'm afraid of that." I'm like, "Dude, there's nothing to be afraid of." So he gets on stage, and there is a picture on my Facebook wall with all of the cast members of We Be Negroes, with Robin Williams in the middle and Woody Harrelson on the side hugging Christian Leslie. That's my Robin. And then he was in rehab, he was on the wagon at that point. We had closed down baths. We had to go down the back stairs. So we're all going down the back stairs. And Woody Harrelson says, and I do quote, in a very Woody Harrelson natural born killer kind of way, he went, "Wonder what would happen if someone died in this hallway." And it's echoing through. And me and Robin, at the same time, like we're twins, looked up at Woody Harrelson and said, "Shut the fuck up, Woody." Yeah, me and Robin just looked at each other and started laughing. Then we go down the stairs. We all went to the bar. Hans was trying to convince Robin to go to the bar, and he was like, "Nope, can't do it. I'm on the wagon." And Woody Harrelson said, "I can go to the bar." So all the way be Negroes and Woody Harrelson, we all headed to the bar, and he started drinking us. Uh, someone ordered a tequila shot. So, and I don't drink tequila, and only one person in our company did, but he thought we were tequila drinkers. So he just started ordering rounds and rounds of tequila. And I wasn't drinking it. I decided I think I'm just gonna stay with, so it was like rounds of tequila and a glass of wine. And I'm sitting next to Woody. He starts talking. His father, who just passed away, actually was arrested and put in jail for life for murder. If you want to Google that fun fact, Woody Harrelson's father was a inmate who he was a gangster. He kind of killed people.
oh,
And yeah, Google it. It's true. And he started talking because he knew I did drama therapy in prisons. I started giving Woody contacts to Geese Theater Company, which is actually out of London, and Bergman, who is originally from Golders Green in England. And yeah, gave him Bergman's number. We went around the table. We started talking about theater. He got really drunk. We poured him into a cab. Actually, before that, the check came because most people were already leaving, and the check came. And of course, it came to me and Hans because we looked the most responsible out of everyone at the table, including Woody. They give us a check, and it was $1,200 at that point, $1,200. And I'm looking at this bill and the money that was left on the table of broke actors, like crumpled dollar bills. And I'm looking at Hans going, "No, we're going to be using the Amex card for the next year." And Woody heard that and he goes, "Give me that." he grabs a check and he looks at it. He goes, "Nah, I got socks that cost more than this." And he pulls out the infamous, never to be seen but by rich people, American Express Black Card. This Black Card has roughly about $2-3 million on it in credit. And it's infamous. It doesn't even have his name on it. It's just a little Amex thing with I'm like, "You have a Black Card." And it's like having an Oscar. I just went, may I hold your black card? I'm just like, and he paid it off. Then we poured him into a cab, and it got into the San Francisco Chronicle. So for all purposes, everyone was like, it was Hollywood in San Francisco. Robin Williams is there, Woody Harrelson is there. It's just like, this big star-studded thing. And the irony of it all was I asked the crew of Bats if they wanted to come and jam with us that night. All of them turned us down. No, we're really busy, darling. That kind of vibe. And then when Robin came, because they've been trying to get Williams in at Bats for a while at that point, that none of them showed up, and Robin was there. And because sometimes actors can be actors, they weren't happy that we had been in town for less than a year and were able to get Robin Williams in their theater. And, things that are joyous and wonderful sometimes has unjoyous consequences
Oh,
because humans can be humans as we do, jealousy and weirdness and the whole 9 yards. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
whoa, that is amazing. And I think, honestly, I'd have to say, normally I'll do a
Ask, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? Kind of questions.
no, no, no. I was going to say normally with the podcast, I'll probably then start the intro and all that. But this is such a great story that I want people to sort of listen into it. It's a great little thing, and I
Yeah,
think
it's been told on a couple of other podcasts I've done, but it never gets old. The story is wonderful and never gets old. That story is officially we moved to San Francisco in 2000. Uh, so that story, for all purposes, is 24 years old.
hmm. No, but I've not heard it before. And what you said there about humans and all jealousy, I mean, I think
Yeah, it's
jealousy is
very
probably
true.
one of the hot. It's probably, from what I can see, probably the most ugly human emotion. But I think, for the most part, and you can say you're probably going to say that I'm wrong about this, but I think we all experience moments of jealousy. I think to a
Well,
degree.
well, well, of course. I mean, in any profession, it doesn't even have to be theater. In any profession, it's supposedly the hierarchy of, like a good example here in Los Angeles with actors, there's the 5%, the 5% of actors who actually work on a regular basis, the Tom Hanks of the world, the, George Clooney's of the world, the Ryan Goslings of the world, who's now doing Star Wars. um, the 5% and the rest of us, we get by. So it's a lot of competition in the world of theater and the world of television and all the rest. And you get just a little, and some people are very happy for you, and it's wonderful. And I'm not saying that everybody is, a hard, jealous rage monster. I'm just basically saying that, you know I had a man who lived with me for a while who was like, why do you always work? And I'm like, I'm working as much as anybody in this town. Every once in a while I'll get a commercial, every once in a while I'll do X. I teach, I do theater, but every once in a while I'll get an indie film. And he goes, well, I can't get anything. I said, well, here's the thing. If you're you, white man, if you're judging your worth by how much a black woman is getting in roles that I'll never see you in the room for to audition, that's a you thing. That's a you thing. And there's also maybe a reason why you're not getting a lot of work, because maybe it's you, ding. Maybe my phone just went ding. Maybe it's you. Ta-da. it might be you, and it might be what you're holding. You might be holding yourself back by looking out the window at other people and not coming out on the street and doing it. Um, I don't, I wish I could go and pull off my skin and slap it on you, black guy, so you can go and do some sassy roles. Um,
Well,
what? I don't understand. And it's what it is. And there also is some of that in improvisation too. You know, someone at one point told me, well, Shaun, you take up the oxygen in the room. And I said, yeah. And I literally said to this person talking to me about this, I literally, in that scenario, I'm like, where did you see me at the improv party? Long pause. That's right. I wasn't even at the party. I was in the dressing room because I'm a computer person and I edit film and all the rest, and I bring my camera everywhere. I'm and take everybody's, because sometimes festivals do not have that capability of being able to record your show so you can have it to go and use for other festival submissions. I do it as a favor and for free because I find it fun. I sat in the back with my little Meg and was editing, slicing shows so people could have it and then send it upload it to the cloud. I said, that's where I was. I said, I came out once to get myself some festival food from the party. I said, basically, I have a big personality. And my huge personality makes people freaked out, I guess. And I said, I wasn't even in the room. I was on a cane because I also have multiple sclerosis. I was on a cane. Yeah, I've been living with it. That's my little dark passenger since 2009. Um, I just have a big personality. And I'm not going to squash that because you feel jealous about it and you think I talk too much when I wasn't even in the room. You just, because I'm such a huge thing with the big hair and, all depending on what wig I'm wearing, with the big hair and all the rest, you think I was in the room. You imagined that. And that really stems from jealousy. I don't know what to tell you outside of do the work. And you too will be the big person in the room. And I will cheer you for it. You know, as they were talking about all of this to me, me being taking up the oxygen, my feet, because of the stress, my feet just started swelling and swelling up. Because it with MS, stress affects my body and hives and swollen feet. I literally showed them my feet. I said, this is what's happening right now to me while we're talking. So yeah, of course there's jealousy. Of course there is. I mean, that's a human nature thing that unless you take out a certain cortex of the brain, a little brain thing in there to go and get rid of, on the left or right side of the brain to get rid of all of that, a little, semi-lobotomy. There will always be jealousy. There will always be anger. There will always be xenophobia. There will always be racism. There will, and it kicks in when people are afraid of something. So, and my husband is holding up my coffee mug. Yes, I will have more coffee. Thank you. He's running with the coffee now. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about some joyous stuff.
Yes, no worries. That was.
I feel like the fool on the hill. Da, 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 standing perfectly still.
So no.
Da, 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 da. Keep going. Sorry.
So one thing I want to say with this. So yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff there, and that is the thing with entertainment. But one thing I want to follow on from that, and this is a question I didn't send you, but from listening to you now, how what has been your journey? I know you've probably said this a lot of times, but for anyone that doesn't know about you, it's mostly a stand-up comedy podcast. How did you?
I stand-up comedians. I used to do stand-up in the 90s, 1991. Marshall Warfield's
Oh,
one of my
okay.
best friends ever. And my Uncle Brad is a stand-up Brad Sanders.
Well, I'm gonna
So
get a
keep
slap on my
going. Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
But no, for anyone
Mhm.
that's listening right now, that how did you get into the world of comedy? And most importantly, how did you get into the world of improv? And what would you
Well,
say has specifically, you've mentioned a few things already that have shaped who you are today in entertainment, but what are other things? What would you say the key things that have shaped you, who you are in the entertainment industry? And how did
well,
you
let me
get to where
go
you are now?
back to the 80s. Let me go back to the 80s and go and tell you young and jibber jabbers exactly how I did this. um, with improvisation, I'm originally from Chicago, and we're hopefully moving back in the next couple of months. Uh, I'm originally from Chicago, and improvisation was very integral in the idea of doing theater. Both are the same thing to a Chicago actor. It's part of the skills that are in your toolbox. We just turned it into performance. So when I went to Columbia, I was learning improvisation through my acting classes. And that's was the one thing that I honed in on. And I was roughly 18, 19 years old. Yeah, 18, 19 years old. And yeah, I just went, this is what I want to do. This is the style of theater that I wish to do because it's spontaneous. I can say and create with other people. Super fun. And I can go and create formats in the style of, or just create a brand new genre style. Then we can write it out and do it that way. A Mammoth theory of things. Because Mammoth basically improvised a lot. And then he crafted, the improv into actual scenes, which turned into actual plays and productions. So that's the kind of work I wanted to do when I was a teenager. And then I went to Columbia, Chicago, and then I found I'm like these are like great classes. I wanted to start doing this. Then I found Geese Theater Company, and that was drama therapy in prisons. That was completely improvised. So the idea of finding it came through regular acting for me. I know it's different now. People just kind of, this seems like a fun thing to do. I don't want to do a knitting circle. I want to be a better. I want to be a better lawyer and in speech. It has different toggle pieces to it to where somebody wants to go. But for me personally, I'm an actor who just happens to improvise.
Hmm.
I am a professional Screen Actors Guild actor whose thrust over the last almost 40 years, 40 or so years, has been improvisational theater RE, the English way. Uh, Not ER, I'm going to a movie house. Um, so there's that. Did that answer your question? My journey to improv started at the start of my journey in comedy, at least. It started with other people who inspired me to want to go and find out this whole improv sketch stand-up thing was my Uncle Brad Sanders, Marsha Warfield back in the day. I mean, keep in mind, my Uncle Brad, and Richard Pryor, all these people were just like the background noise of the 70s in my mind, right? And then Saturday Night Live came around. I so wanted to be Gilda Radner. I so wanted to be Gilda Radner. I so wanted to, be in the likes of Mel Brooks. Um, I wanted to improvise. And I'm like, gee, I wonder where Dan Aykroyd and Gilda Radner, this is for all those who are overseas, they're Americans from Saturday Night Live. and,
Thank you.
and, and most of them came from the Second City. So Second City, Toronto, and Second City, Chicago. now Second City. Now there used to be a Second City, Los Angeles, and they were like, nope, we need to get out of here. So now they're in New York.
Oh,
So yeah, it's just like LA has issues, and issues, problems, and concerns. But all of that came early. So my journey into improv wasn't really a journey. It was just part of the process of being an actor. Get
okay.
everything into get everything into your toolkit, the singing, the dancing, the poetry, the storytelling, and learn improvisation too. So you're able to think fast on your feet, be able to create on your own, and also to be able to cover when you flub a scripted production,
Hmm.
be able to cover yourself in character. So the process, that was the process back in the day until some very bright human being, a million people, some people go from different schools. It could have been Johnstone, it could have been Close, it could have been Spolin, um, said we can take this piece of the encompassing theater. This is the nucleus of theater. This is improvisation right here. We can take that out of the nucleus and start our own little world and then spin around that. Does that make sense? So, hello, I am improvisational theater. I am now my own thing. And as my husband laughs, it's true. So, yeah, that journey was basically the nucleus of this
Cool.
until I ended up joining its own nucleus, and around that goes different styles of improvisational theater. So other people's journeys are different. Some people who have been doing it I've been performing improvisational theater since 1983. So, somebody who is now teaching and they started in 95, have come to it organically. Their journey came to it directly and organically. You know, what do you do outside of improvisation? No, I'm a computer analysis person, which is fine and it's wonderful because different perspectives come from that. Oh, why are you doing improvisation? It helps me with a lot of the things that I'm working with. The great thing about improv now is it's not just about comedy. It's drama therapy, it's healing, it's different formats to go and do other things that's not on the stage. The stage now, I feel, is a byproduct. It's the journey of improv is one whole thing. If you
Hmm.
never see a stage in improv now, then that's great because that's not where you want to be. You're using this for something else. So my journey has been straight theater. What I teach is pretty much if you want to do this as a profession, consider yourself an actor and learn everything about the craft of the stage first. Then let's start doing some scene work. Let's start deconstructing. Let's do the herald. Just as long as you know your stage left from your stage right, you know how to go and use your voice to be heard, know where your light is, know that you don't have to be in every scene, that you can exit a scene, enter and exit a scene. Know that this is ensemble work. If you find yourself on stage too much, you're hogging the stage. If you don't find yourself on stage at all, then you need to go and put all the work that you have been doing in practice and get
Hmm.
out there. Don't let me have to grab your hand from the back line to start a scene. Don't let me do that. Be strong, be supportive, take care of yourself as much as you're taking care of your ensemble. I do not call them teams, I call them ensembles because we don't do sports, even though there are places that has sports behind it, like theater and comedy. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are the gimmicks. That's what gets all the boys to the yard. That's the marketing that gets all the boys to the yard. But what you do on stage needs to look like theater, look, smell, and feel like theater. Same with any stand up. Anybody who's doing stand up, that's spontaneous stand up. You know, the Lily Tomlins of the world, the Robin Williams of the world. Um, sure, yes, they're improvising, but they also know the craft, which is why you can see Lily Tomlin doing scripted work and Robin Williams, of course, winning Oscars because they know how to perform. They know how to. They know how to perform. I hope that answered your question.
He answered in a very deep way. Yeah, no, it's
I'm
interesting.
a I'm a very deep person with I'm a, yes I am. Yes I am. I'm a very deep person.
Can
Yeah
I?
I am. I'm so deep I put on a wig because I didn't want to do my hair. Uh
Okay. Uh, I've got a wig as well. No, I'm joking. I should have said that.
rip. So there it is.
Could I say hello to your husband as well?
Yes, yes, Hans, I'm about to turn this around to you.
Why?
Why not? 1 second. I don't know if you can see
Hello
him.
there.
Hans, are you waving? I can't. Can you see
Hello,
him?
how are we doing? That's a nice dance.
And let me turn it over this way. There we are. That was almost a smooth dolly.
Oh, Pam.
Yeah, smooth pan shot. Usually I use my regular Canon camera when we had the Ledge Theater.
We're not in boxes.
Yeah, that are not in boxes because literally I'm surrounded by boxes because we are moving back to Chicago. As I plug this back in, excuse me. There we are. Just making sure I don't run out of power. Um, we have literally an entire rig system that we use for our former theater, the Ledge Theater, where we recorded everybody's show in 3 camera.
Hmm.
3 camera with a switcher, and also put them up onto YouTube and also send people off copies for free. That was, if you did a show at the Ledge, you got a copy of your show.
Oh,
Because I mean, yeah, I am, outside of being the things I'm the most proud of in my journey has been being the best actor I can be, being the best writer I can be. Granted, I use too many ellipses in my typing. That's why there's things like script readers and rewriters. And I pride myself being a producer. And actually creating things that are interesting and diverse. You know, screw this country right now going into into the proletariat authoritarianism, being fuck Trump basically. Basically fuck Trump. Over my dead body you're taking this country over. And if so, then I'll just move to Nottingham. and, and take the tunnel over to Paris. But that's, yeah, it's, I'm very proud of that, of being able to put together the most diverse and interesting theater that you can find in the style of improvisation. And that's why I was so tickled when I was asked to be the curator of the Robinhood Improv Festival. So,
with your experience of being like a performer and a teacher, now this is something that I hear a lot from, I don't know, I used to work in tech, and I studied a tech degree, and
right.
sometimes in performing as well, people say that if you want to understand the mechanics behind something, or if you want to get better if you want to understand mechanics in what you do, if you want to get better at what you do, you teach it to someone else. Does being a teaching performing as well as being a performer enhance your performing?
That's an interesting question, actually. Being a teacher, because I started teaching again in the early 90s, when I was improvising in the 80s and got all the skill set to feel comfortable. Teaching for me has the watching other students' brains work. Watching other students' brains work, and something, you give them one of my favorite moments is people breaking the rules of your own game and making it better.
Oh,
A million times I was like, I would have never thought of that. That's brilliant. And that's where I turn around and go, that's an interesting take. It's not, that actually helps me as a performer go, I once saw this, oh, the session is about to expire. Why is that? Wait, there we go. Get rid of that. But that's one nice thing is the learning from other students. It's the learning from other students that makes you, you're not stealing. That's something, a big thing in comedy. I'm not stealing from somebody else, but it's the idea of learning something that you would have never thought you would do, or it could, but someone changes the script on something I'm teaching and it's horrible. And you turn around and go, that's an interesting choice. Now let's see if you can go in and actually do something else, like, oh, I don't know, follow directions. But but other than that, but the one's like, oh, this is something really interesting. You broke the rules, you didn't follow directions, but it came out great. That's also the other joy of improvisation. You don't know how it's going to turn out. You know why? It's improvised.
because it's all done on the spot and it's based on the relationship between the performers rather than.
Right. And now how does that apply to life? Aren't we improvising all the time in that corporate meeting that you don't know what, we might have some kind of base notes on what's going to happen in that meeting. We do have the base skills of what we're doing for this company ex ad nauseum, but you don't know what's going to happen in that meeting because we're not mind readers. You come in with an opinion, someone else comes in with an opinion, and then you try to figure out how to go and combine both of these together, or you decide on one thing. It's the same thing when you're improvising in theater. Someone comes in with a gift. Someone comes in, doesn't listen to this gift, and comes in with another gift. It's the verbal fight for who's going to be empowered in this scene. So the object for the actor with the skills that you learned is to go and try to go and either combine these two together or be okay with getting this first suggestion saying, wow, that's a stupid suggestion, or wow, I don't really get that. You are still saying yes to this in the scene because you are now questioning why this is happening. Yeah. And that's a yes, because you said yes to this shitty gift. And sometimes that gift isn't even shitty. Sometimes it's a gold nugget of awesome that brings, it's a conflict that's going on that you can work through and make funny at the same time. Yeah. So there's that. I'm teaching a class, $500.
I'll send it over by Bitcoin. Is that all right?
Oh yeah, because Bitcoin is really going. But why don't you just send me a Tesla?
Well,
I look like Elon without glasses.
Yeah, no, you don't. You don't.
That's true.
Okay, you kind of do. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, he's pulling back now from Dooge, or as I like to call it, doofus, because Tesla is literally on fire. It's literally on fire. It's just tanking. It's amazing. That's another thing talking about. Landry and Summers does a lot of social political comedy, something you barely ever see anymore in improvisation. People being brave enough to be in character and talk about the horrors that are going on in the world. And as an American, there's so much. I mean, this is the worst times you could ever imagine, but it's just, some people say in stand up, it's just ripe for comedy. it is ripe for change, and it's ripe for theatrical social political change. So that's also something, that I pass on to students, and in turn, they turn it on its ear. And then I learn something, and it's a back and forth. So to your question, yes, I agree with the technology gurus that you know. Um, and yeah, you learn, you're always in a process of learning. Once you stop learning, you're kind of dead. You kind of stop learning because you kind of have died. You're always learning in some way or another. And, being 60 in August, a million things that I can learn. I'm very excited because I'm doing the Dramatic Improv Festival in Chicago once we actually get there. And Michael Gelman, who was my teacher at Second City, is teaching. I'm going to take his class because I want to go and see how he's progressed over literally the 30 plus years of me, being in his class at Second City. We're best friends. He's a great guy. And I'm quite sure Gelman will turn around and say, "Why are you here?" I'm doing a refresher course with one of the masters. You never stop learning, and it never hurts to go back. If you are a computer science person, it's never bad to go back and relearn code in DOS. Go back old school. Go back to DOS. go back and encode some DOS. Go and see if you can go and print out. I'm a nerd too. Go and see if you can go and print out, a rose on, a 3-pin printer. See how that works. Can you go and take one of the old Apple SEs and turn it into something that you can actually still use today? That's just my theory. You've been doing improv since 1970, whatever. Can you actually go and explore the things you learned from the teacher you were with? Why not? Because, why not? You only live once. Bud Light.
I'm listening to what you're saying there. And I'm going to say what my thoughts on it there. I don't know how the conversation you said has led it there, but it reminded me of, I know that a recent event happened, or was it 2 or 3 years ago, happened with Second City, where they were purchased by a big corporate entity.
Yeah, they were purchased by a big corporation. Then they tried to go and break the union. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And they fixed that pretty fast. I got onto IG when all of the strike was going on with AICE, which is we call ACE. And I got on and I said, here's the deal. The teachers started striking at Second City, outside in front on Wells Street, North and Wells, picketing. And I know how people can be, especially people who so want to work someplace of gravitas. I got onto IG and I said, here is the thing. These teachers are striking and their contract is up at midnight, or because they couldn't get into negotiation. And I said, here's the thing. Anybody who thinks they can get a job at Second City because these teachers have been laid off, or you're breaking union and you're not union, here's my advice. Here is how I feel. Fuck you. I will remember you. I will remember you busting union. I will remember you. I will never work with you again because you are a scab. And I don't care if they pay pennies to the dollar. You're still a scab. And that's why we're striking, why Second City teachers are striking, because they want to have a decent wage, but now having to work at a bar to go and make up just to pay the rent, just to eat. And you're taking money away from them to go and get a shitty job because you want gravitas and improvisation and sketch comedy and stand up. Nope. I will remember you. I will remember. We need to go and clean up our own shit. If you even decide that. And the guys from Ace was like, thank you. We need to police our own. I said, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Because it does, it's, I say it all the time when people so wants gravitas and improvisational theater. There's a great line from the movie All About Eve, which is one of my, and I quote it quite a bit. It's Celeste Holmes who says to the lead, which is Eve, and she goes, I want this role, and literally was going to, I want this role. He goes, I would do even more. And she goes, you did all this conniving and scheming. You did all this for theater. You did all of this for a part in the play. And Eve says, I would do more if the part was good.
Cool.
So when people will turn around and literally work and against others just for the gravitas, I go, you do all this for improv theater? You do all this to teach an improv class at an improv theater? And I just hear Eve's voice go, I would do more if the improv was popular. Everything cleared up at Second City. Everything that happened at Second City, Los Angeles, that left a lot of people kind of hanging here in LA, the teachers, because they pretty much picked up and went to New York. And most people didn't find out until they had to walk down Hollywood Boulevard, not Hollywood, Sunset. Had to walk down Sunset Boulevard to go and see Second City completely shuttered down. I believe the sign is still up. With, I don't, the big conglomerate, it's obviously over the last couple of years, during the pandemic and all the rest, all of improvisational theater was in a state of flux with the Me Too movement, with Black Lives Matter, here in this state or in this country. And now everyone's kind of coming back out. They're coming back out. They're doing the good work and being fair about it in a lot of ways. There's still camps of weirdness going on where, you get on Facebook and you see a picture of improvisers and it's like, wow, there is not one single person of color on this stage. This is such a 1994 improv picture. it's so 94. And then you see another picture of everyone who's African American, and it's like, yeah, that looks about right. It's like, we'll just do our own thing. And that's something that I shot for with Robinhood. I wanted to see a festival that was completely diverse in all realms, not only people of color, but also diversity in orientation, in way of thinking, and yes, I would like to see white people too. Yes, they're white people are okay. This is okay. But I wanted it to look, and pretty much the same with the producers and the founders. They wanted to look diverse also. Liam and Lloydie, that's what they've been shooting for. So yeah, the whole idea of fairness and improvisation, especially in larger established theaters like the Second City, it is getting better. And if you look at that stage, both in New York and in Chicago, it's it took a while there. But I think the people who are now running it are trying to do better, both for their teaching staff and for their performers who are there. So I love me some Jordan Savasu. He was one of my students, and when I did the Honolulu Improv Festival, I love that guy. His baby is adorable. He's in New York, doing the New York Second City. Love that dude. He plays a mean ukulele. Just I literally just got on his Facebook wall and it was just like, look at you riding the New York trains. Look at you. Look at you with your big Second City pants on. Look at you. Look at you hanging out with Curl Tart. Look at you guys. So yeah, there's a lot of change going on. And with Second City, that whole moment of the strike was what it was. And that was about a year or so ago, 2 years or so ago, something around there. And I'm just glad it was all settled. And I had my anger say on IG, I think it's still, that post is still up. And everyone's just like, preach. And I'm just like, it's not preaching, it's just fairness. It's fairness in the world. And improv is not some ethereal thing in the world. It is, for a lot of people, a business. It is the business of improvisation, a class of which I taught. It is the business. You know, there are some people who want to do it for the art. There's some people who just want to do it for snicks and giggles. And there's some people who want to make money. That is just and there's some people who want to make money who don't want to admit they just want to make money. There is that too. You know, some people are in it just to get laid who don't want to admit it. And I'm like, wow, you really picked the wrong place to try to get laid in, didn't you? Yeah, you really picked the wrong freaking style of theater. Good luck. God bless with that. I'll see you at the festival at the bar. Good luck with all that. Good luck. God bless. You know, it's like, okay. So, and there's that. I hope that answered something. I go on tangents. Don't mind me.
No, I mean what you said there describes why a certain number of stand-ups and musicians get into entertainment. But
well, we all know why bands do it.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on. I mean, there's a whole my favorite thing with my sister's husband was in the band War. Cisco Kid was a friend of mine. Why can't we be friends? And I always joke with Scott and go, yeah, how did that groupie thing work out? And he very jokingly about my sister said, that's how I got my wife. It's just like, oh, no, stop. No, Angel just saw the show and she thought you were cute. That's it. It's not like she followed War around like it was, the Grateful Dead. Come on. Y'all just hooked up because y'all were meant to be with each other. So yeah, we all know why bands do it. I mean, there's the whole word groupie is, Pastor, the plaster girls who used to go around and with plaster and cast guys junk. They did Jimi Hendrix junk. Just like John Lennon. I don't know if they got John Lennon's junk or not. But yeah,
Oh,
they used to
nice.
go around the concerts and say, can we go and service you, get you in a state, and then put your state into this plaster. And then they go and get, a copy of their junk.
Now,
Yes.
being a creator as well as a performer and teacher, that must be interesting as well, because I know that I book comedy shows as well, and from my side, sometimes I've got to be cautious about how I respond to people that I don't think are ready for shows. And this is on a very small scale. You're on like a big scale with a Curator improv festival. You must
And
get
have been for numerous festivals. I run the San Francisco Improv Festival on the same kind of scale as Nottingham, and also was on the board of the Chicago Improv Festival. So yeah.
But with that, you must have all sorts of strange upgradations of this and that, and you've seen it all before, I reckon. And like, what have been what have been the worst sort of applications that have shocked you and the weirdest responses you've had? And what have been like, how do people stand out as a curator for you in terms of whether you put them in or not?
I will go for the best things.
Sure.
The best thing you can give to anybody who is doing a festival submission wise is follow the directions. Follow the directions. If we ask you for a 15 to 30-minute show, do not send me a sizzle reel. Do not send me 30-second TikToks. Follow the directions. If you don't have a show, record one. Get a ring. Everybody and their mama who has been online since the pandemic should go and get a cheap ass ring light that you can put your phone on horizontal, not vertical, horizontal, and shoot your damn show. Get a full range of yours and then do a show, even if it is you have no one in the audience and it's just people who you just invited just to be there to laugh. Do it. Do not send us shite. Don't do it. Also, if you say your show is going to be this, we want to bring down Beckett Mamet improvised. Don't send me a deconstruction show that has nothing to do with Beckett or Mamet. Send the thing that you want to do. Please, things that drive me crazy. Okay, you got your setup and you are in a cavern of a space. Zoom your camera in a little bit more and really focus on sound. For the love of all that's holy, guys, if someone is just holding an iPhone to shoot you, tell them to shut the fuck up. Tell them to shut up, because their obnoxious laughing behind the camera is not helping your cause. Stop it. Follow the directions. If the submission says, we will tell everybody, say, I don't know, May 1st, don't bug people wondering when it's going to be announced or when they're going to get a letter. Don't do it. Especially, and even worse, if we are friends and I ask you personally to put in a submission, I mean personally, and you start bugging me in a Facebook message you have dropped into my DMs, you like, hey, Shaun, and it's always so insincere. It always starts off with, hope you're well. I'm like, come on, ask me when we're going to announce. And don't give me highfalutin, oh, I want to go, especially here in the States. Well, you know, my schedule is really busy and I'm trying to do, I'm like, everybody's schedule is busy. You're not the only one. I wish the world would revolve around you, but it doesn't. Also, if you want to know the status, why are you DMing me? Why aren't you going directly to the designated Gmail or the designated.com email handle to ask? Because as a curator, my decisions on who I wish to be in the festival does not revolve around me. It revolves around the team, just like an improv. If you're picking me out to go and harangue in a Facebook message, that's uncool, unfair, and weird. Because if you have been doing improv festivals for any period of time, and it's a well-run festival, And it happens to also coincide with another organization as a nonprofit theater. There's boards, there's artistic boards. I generally, myself, Lloydie and Liam are the final say, but the process entails a lot of other people when it comes to Robinhood Improv Festival. So even though I might know you and I think you are great and I think your improv is great, and you send me a video where you spend out of a 25-minute set, 15 minutes of it talking, that's a problem. I can go and fight for your case, but it's difficult. I'm like, hey, I happen to have a bunch of other videos. That's not the video you sent, though. From my collection of improv shows, I can't go and submit the show that I sent you that you should have sent in. That was good. It's, and you don't know what to say, and it treads upon me to be cool, because I don't want to. My natural instinct is, if I had $1 million, I'd be rich, and if I had $1 million, I'd be rich. Follow the directions. Don't harass the people who have asked you. Follow the rules. And do the best. And this is just from a producer side. And send us a show that literally focuses in on you performing improvisational theater. When your audience is literally half of your show, and then only thing producers are watching is, can we get the audience come and perform? Because we're barely seeing you. We're just hearing some offshoot voice guy that you asked to go and tell their life story to. And you give them the center focus. Those need to be quick, fast, and over. The best shows that I have seen over numerous improv festival shows have been the ones where the intro is quick and fast. This is just quick and fast. You get the suggestion, you go, and then you craft. It being lush with music throughout it. Actors who know their stage presence. Actors who know the scene of the game to get to that, start a strong beginning, a solid middle, and a kick-ass end. If it's short form, knowing the game so well that it looks like it's scripted. The Do Run Run, if you have ever played this game, has been done on stage forever. Do you know the game?
No, I'm sorry.
It's a song called the Do Run Run. Man, I'm on my name and hearts are still. Do run, 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 the do run, run. In improv, we ask for a suggestion of, your name is Mark? Yeah?
Marvin.
Marvin? Marv?
Marvelous Marvin.
Okay, I'm just gonna do Marvin, okay? And Marvin is almost impossible to rhyme. Met him on a Monday and his name was Marvin. A do run, 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 the do run, run. He was kind of silly and he was kind of smarmin'. Smarmy. A do run, 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 the do run, run. And then you rhyme the name again and again. And then you rhyme the name again and again. And then you rhyme the name again and again. The do run, 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 the do run, run. That's the game. But the game is just a silly thing, and then whoever messes up gets kicked out, and they decide a winner. But yeah, that game can actually, if you create a story with that, where people will walk away going, wow, that seemed like it's scripted, it's brilliant. So even if it's short form, which I love, or musical short form, which I love. it has to have some meat to it. It has to have some meat. The process of doing this, because I started when I was asked to do that, first I was gobsmacked, as you guys would say, and also completely shocked. I was actually very honored to be asked to be the curator, of which I love the idea of the term curator, because generally it's called, here it's called the artistic director. Um, just absolutely chuffed that I was asked. And from there, I was like, send me the Excel spreadsheet. I watched for teachers, and because there was, figuring out who we were going to have as teachers and who we were going to have as performers separated out. 96 teachers. 96. That's literally almost 100 national and international improvisational and theater teachers vying for literally 12 slots. That was the most difficult, because a large, out of the 96, I would say I know about 25 of them, 25, 30. That was, for me, it was a near impossibility. But also trying to get a robust teaching curricula going for this particular festival, where it covers not only the idea of improvisational theater, but you're learning how to perform and act along with knowing the skills. So the festival schedule for teachers, I think, covers not only a wide range of teachers of different diverse backgrounds and from all over the world. We want it to come all over the world. It can't just be Canada and the US. as much as I can go and ask everybody from the US, hey, I'm in a festival, come and do this. It's a great lineup for the performers, for the actual ensembles. We are still in the process, because it was a ton of them. I will say not as much as the teachers, but the performers, it was roughly around 60, 70. I watched every single show that came to us. Every single 15 to 30 minute, sat at my computer, buckled in with coffee and cigarettes, and buckled in. And then decided from there. It was myself, Liam Lloydie, and the Robinhood Improv Festival team, where we all did, kind of a scoring pattern to it. What we liked, our notes on it, and all the rest, with the final decisions coming to myself, Lloydie, and Liam, and then my final say. Because out of the three of us, I was the final say on yay or nay. There are, in the process of the ones that we currently have for festival performance, we hopefully will be announcing at the end of this week, Friday, Saturday, online, of which I do not want to say anything. I just know that I'm extremely proud of these choices. And to warn people who I know who submitted, you might or might not be on that. Just know, no matter what happens, when all the letters go out, I love you all. I love you all. We can't have everybody. I think everybody who submitted, both for teaching and performance, are all rock stars and like Mick Jagger. I'm quite sure Mick Jagger heard no at some point in his life. Sometimes it's not even about sometimes it can be about other factors that factor in. You've done producing it, other factors that factor in. Can't have everybody, finances, scheduling, different points of view. You don't have the same shows over and over again. You want to see something fresh and something new. And there's a lot of people who are doing really wonderful stuff that's very similar to something else. So it's literally trying to pinpoint down what's going to work best for the festival. Yeah. So with, very limited slots of performance, along with distance, along with just a bunch of other factors that factor in, it's being fair to the best you can get, best you can put up on in your festival, best you can get, and then with the best you can get, saying where it all falls in, because literally the performance stuff was difficult to decide. That was extremely difficult to decide because we pared it down from roughly 70 to roughly about 30. And then it was the discussions, very civil. I will admit, Robinhood Improv Festival has been the best festival I've ever AD'd/curated for because everyone is so nice.
Oh,
Here, may I show you something if this is actually being recorded? I'm looking at it right now. I've been really sick over the last couple of weeks, stomach stuff, all sorts of craziness and all the rest. I mean, just sick as a dog. I went in for a procedure not too long ago. And I'm just like, at one point I wrote on my Facebook, I'm like, this is not the best life, surrounded by boxes and being sick. Saturday, Hans goes outside. And brings this in.
oh.
I get this note. Dear Shaun, always an inspiration and a joy. Get well soon. Can't wait to see you in September. All the love, Liam, Lloydie, and the whole RHIIF team. Then a capital X.
Oh.
They surprised me by sending me flowers. I wrote back, and being who I am, I get onto FB Messenger to Lloyd and Liam, and it's roughly around 4:00 here, which would make it almost midnight there. And I just went, hey guys, what the fuck? I'm like, how many? I'm sobbing. That's how I deal with being happy. And I just have to joke through it because it just sends me in tears. And I find myself, the older I get, the more I cry. Before I could just cry on cue. Now you have to work to cry. Now I don't have to anymore. And I swear to God, I said, how many capital X's can I send you guys without it being awkward? Because English people put the X behind the capital X. I figured that out. And I'm just like, how many capital X's can I put behind what I'm saying without it becoming really awkward? It's one of the Robinhood International Improv Festival. First we went to the first one, and Hans and I went to the first one, and then I went to the second one on my own with my friend Patrick Rollin, who wrote for Amber Ruffin, the Amber Ruffin Show, and we did a show along with Tay Campbell. We did his show, Do the Right Scene, and I love Tay Campbell. And what? Are you gobsmacked by me knowing Tay?
No, because I know him. He does all the impressions, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does an amazing Obama.
Bloody hell, brilliant. No, it's amazing how small the world is. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, me and Patrick performed with Do the Right Scene, and it was amazingly fun. And we just jawed. He was telling me he does impressions. He goes, and he gave me his Obama. I'm like, that's really a good Obama. That's a really, really good Obama. He does an amazing English accent. Absolutely amazing English accent. I'm like, for every African American over here, I'm just like, dude, you're the Idris Elba of friggin' comedy. You can come over here and just knock every African American out. He's the Hugh Laurie of comedy. It's just Hugh Laurie does obviously an amazing, to the point where people here when he started doing House didn't even know he was from England. Um, so yeah, Tay is pretty amazing, and that's how I met the crew. I had such a great time in Nottingham. So we skipped a year because we were doing the Ledge, and I was like, Hans, you want to go back? They have the submission for teaching up. I said, I wouldn't mind doing a class, and submitting for a show when the show's open, because they hadn't opened the show applications up yet. They had opened the teaching. And I sent it in, didn't think much of, it's like, see what happens. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I get a call from Liam and said, we just saw your submission for teaching. And Key Shaw from Bristol was the curator for one of the years I was there. And I know Key really well. And he goes, we would love it. He goes, how do you feel about curating? And then he went on about other crap like pay. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to tell you this, but I would probably do this for free. But of course I didn't, because I'm not stupid. I mean, I got means, but if you wish to pay me, yes, let's make it legitimate then. And I was like, well, holy crap. And then I had Hans, my husband, literally said, this is like San Francisco Improv Festival. And I said, I know. I said, you're going to need to leave me alone. I'm going to need to start researching about 100 teachers on what they have done, if they have their curriculum up, if they have, for the teachers, do you have your curriculum up? What are you teaching? Do you have a curriculum? It's like, hey, you got a curriculum? And like, no, I just teach games. Okay, you still need a curriculum. What is the student getting out of this afterwards? Searching online to see who they are and their backgrounds. So that came first. And then when we opened up performances, it was just, for me, it was just like the San Francisco Improv Festival. I watch a good 6 to 7 minutes of the show. And if it's painful in the first 6 to 7 minutes, I'm just like, and then, put that to the side. But if you're 12 minutes into a show and it's a 30-minute video and you haven't started improvising at this point, and no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's about 50 other people who actually started their show at the top of the show with very fast suggestions. And it shows the full breadth of it. It's someone jokingly said, "Oh, you're curating the thing. It must be good to be king." I'm like, no. First off, I'm not the king of this festival, and secondly, it's not great to be king. I'm sorry, Mel Brooks. It's not great to be king, because sometimes the king gets beheaded. It puts me in a precarious situation, obviously, being a curator for anybody who does this particular job. You have to do it well. You have to do it, with conviction, and have to tell some of your friends really nicely, I'm sorry. And it's very interesting because you start realizing when you have to tell a friend no, how they're going to respond, because that's a real staple on, are we really friends? Because real friends can understand the word no. Hey, can I loan you $50? I'm really sorry, I don't have it right now. And then they get pissed off at you. They're not really your friend, are they? It's the same kind of theory here. You know, I have a ton of really wonderful friends in improv theater. And in this position as a curator, producer for anything, sometimes I have to say no to them. You know, and sometimes I have to also turn around and tell people, you have to give other people a chance. You know, you're all up in the festival circuit, my love. you all up in it. Sometimes you have to give brand new people a chance. That's also supporting the improv community. Yeah, you don't want to see the same thing over and over again. Yes, we all know this particular group is amazing. We all know it. We've seen them everywhere. We've seen them in Ireland at the Ireland Improv Festival. We've seen them at Robinhood. We've seen them at Bristol. We've seen them We've seen them out, you know, in Oslo, in Norway. We've seen them. We've seen them in the Chicago Improv Festival. They're out there. They out there doing their thing. That's great. But every once in a while, there's that one group who just brand new. They're brand new and they put in a really good improv show. They sent in a really, really good improv show. And you don't know them from Adam. I'm going to say yes to them. You know, because I want to give people a chance. I want to go and give new ensembles to rise up. And so they become now the new kids on the block. And now you can, with just one good show at a festival, you know, says, yes, we want you to come to these other festivals. Give kids a chance.
Give peace a chance.
And give peace a chance. All we are saying, give improv a chance. Everybody's talking about comedians and Landry and Summers, improv 2 for 2. yeah. All we are saying is give someone else a chance. So, yeah, that's what a curator does. A good curator is not getting all their friends up in it. It's getting new people to be seen. That's what community is supposed to be. Yeah, that's what community is supposed to be.
Now, for anyone that is listening in right now, what is the one bit of advice you'd give him? And
or
how
her.
do people find out?
Or
yeah,
them.
yeah. Oh, for God's sake! Yeah, I should have said whoever's listening. What advice would you give them? And how do people find out about you?
When it comes to improv theater, play like you're 5 years old. Play like you're 5 years old. And play like you're just learning it and use all those skills. So ring. It's probably, no, it's not her. Sorry about that, guys. We actually have a landline because we're old.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a landline and a phone just in case. Play like you're 5 years old. Play like joyous. Play at the top of your game. And then throw a little adult in there. Be on time for your shows, please. Be on time. Don't, if your call time or your rehearsal time is at 7. When did you get to this Zoom, Marvelous Marv?
About 10 minutes before the start.
When did I get there?
About, 10 minutes before the start.
Yeah, and that was late for me. That was, I would have, if I wasn't dealing with apartment crap, I would have been in that room, my time, at pretty much 8:30 and just waiting for you, spinning around, waiting for you. Be on time for things. Be on time. When you're doing any kind of festival, Do the same thing. I know you were partying the day before. Be on time for your classes. Be on time for your call times and shows. Be professional in a professional setting. You can still have fun doing it. When you submit to a festival, really sit down and read the rules. If it, it's the same thing as being in front of a self-tape. You don't have any direction except for the instructions that were given to you. Read the instructions. If you have a question about the instructions, go to the right source. If you wish to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Shaun Landry Actor. You can find me on Shaun Landry fan page on Facebook. You can DM me, but be nice. Make it a real question. I'm in LA. I'm surrounded by boxes. I can't help you too much at the moment. Until I can get most of my shit out of my boxes and into a place where I'm hoping we are moving to. Until today, I don't even know, because I guess the condo where we actually got has problems. So be patient with me. I will always support all of you, whoever is watching. I care about all of you deeply because we like the same things, obviously. If I see you at the Robinhood Improv Festival, tap me on the shoulder, turn me around, give me a glass of red wine, and hug me. I don't mind. My boundaries, hugging is fine.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Right. And make sure it's the Chianti classic from of course, Italy.
Wait, from what? Well, it could be from Italy. It could be from Italy. It could be from Napa. I'm okay with that. I'm a Napa head. I used to live in San Francisco. I will take anything from Napa. I will take anything from oh my goodness, from Spain. Spain has amazing wines. Australia is not so bad.
As long as it tastes good.
Yeah, as long as it has a nice body and it doesn't taste like vinegar, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. We got a stream of different episodes. We got Neil Cohen that I'm talking to tomorrow, and I got there's a comedian that I may get a bit of that Shaun may not like, but he's a comedian called Frank Sinatra. So he dresses up as Hitler. He sings
and does Frank Sinatra tunes.
Yeah, and he's a very unique act. He's brilliant. I'm really interested to hear his thought.
It's what I had. You go and tell Mr. Frank Sinatra that I need to hook him up with Elvis Prestello.
Oh,
that's Brendan Hunt. He does Elvis Presley and Elvis Costello.
Oh, okay.
He sings Elvis Costello songs in Elvis Presley gear. He is also on the show. What is Brendan on right now? He's on that coach show about soccer.
Yeah.
He plays a coach on this very popular soccer show that's on Netflix. I believe it won a couple of Emmys. He's also the guy on there too. So you tell him that his Nazi better be as good, if not better, than regular Nazis.
Okay, I will. Right,
what an asshole. What an asshole.
I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys soon.